Welcome back. If you're just joining us for the first time, we welcome you. We will be resuming our scheduled sessions. Our next presentation is Challenges Around Interpreting and Preserving a Former Slave Colonial Site, the Fidelin Sugar Pottery Manufactory with Katerina Jacobson. And this will be followed by a live Q&A with the presenters. So we have two presenters who will be leading the Q&A. So please enjoy.
Welcome to our session entitled Challenging Around Preserving and Interpreting a Former Slave Site, the Fidelin Pottery Manufactory. This presentation has been written in collaboration with Dr. Pierre Sainte-Luce. But let's start with a quote. Aujourd'hui, je n'ai pas peur de me... Let's start with a quote. Today, I'm not afraid to claim myself as a Creole in the face of all because I have converted slavery into light. Ernest Lupin. The Poterie Fidelin Manufactory is located in Terre de Bas, one of the two islands of the Saint archipelago. Today, Les Saintes, that is to say Terre de Haut and Terre de Bas, belongs to the archipelago of the island Guadeloupe in the French West Indies. It was in the 17th century that Dutch colonists fleeing Brazil had the idea of investing in the hostile island, which had only one bay. Les Saintes is a strategic place which lives at the root of the historical phenomena between the English and the French, becoming in turn a possession of those two empires. In the 19th century, Terre de Bas became a territory of agricultural production for the French military, instead in the other island Terre de Haut. The life in Les Saintes. Today, Terre de Bas lives essentially from fishing and tourism. The population, which is about 800 inhabitants, is losing its young people and is struggling to make itself attractive. A few craftsmen maintain an activity: the production of Indian woods essence, bois d'Inde, and the production of salako, a Vietnamese hairdress adopted by the settlers of Les Saintes. The salako, made of bamboo, protects from the sun and the rains. The Poterie Fidelin. Since the 19th century, coffee, indigo, cotton, and food crops have been the main products grown in Terre de Bas. There were also two pottery manufactories, one in Grand Bay and the others in Anse-à-Dos, which employ a large number of enslaved people. Jean Pierre Fidelin, a Frenchman, married a girl who was a descendant of the new arrival, the Dutch from Friesland. Shortly after 1760, Jean Pierre Fidelin created the pottery manufactory. The Fidelins are one of the oldest Creole families of Guadeloupe. The manufacturer produced sugar pots and molasses pots used for sugar refining. poterie activities flourished from 1760 to 1850, when the development of sugar beets in France sounded the death knell of the Caribbean sugarcane industry, and by extension, that of its suppliers. The manufacturer had to diversify their product by producing tills, flower pond, and jar intermittently. From 1860 until 1920, the poterie manufacture became a distillery of Indian wood, the Guadeloupe. The manufactory had up to 120 enslaved people, including 6 potters, mainly from the island of Terre de Bas. Among them, there was Raimon Vala, one of the 8 children, the fruit of a love story between the grandson of a slave, Benoit, and the granddaughter of a master, Valentine. Raimon was the ancestor of the new owner since 2015, Pierre Sainte-Luce, the co-author of this presentation. The production of the Fidelin manufacture is industrial and consists mainly of sugar foam and molasses for the refining and the crystallization of the syrup from the sugar. This is what we find mainly on the side, those kind of conic sugar pot, and the bottom part is called the molasses pot. Here you can see some picture of the actual room, because the production, the site actually looked like this, with a lot of walls. You can see them on the picture, but what we can say that the manufactory is relatively well preserved, and all that remains are the raised walls of different buildings, like there. You can see on this other picture, you have 2 mills, a cistern, the remains of the animal mill to crush the clay, and several unidentified ruined buildings. But on the site, we also find different kind of material. Then during the 2000, several archaeological excavation campaigns have been carried out on the site. They have revealed both pre-Columbian material, some traces with an attribution date around 800 AD, and colonial material with numerous structures and evidence of the slave dwelling era for the settlement of the enslaved people. But this part of Guadeloupe, Terre de Bas, is a specific place. Indeed, the slave of Terre de Bas come from different horizons, from Dominica, but also from Guadeloupe itself. Les Saints have known only one of the 2 abolition of slavery. Terre de Bas was also an English trading port against the French control Guadeloupe. The people of Les Saints were also corsairs. For all those reasons, those people were resilient. Terre de Bas developed a particular population which remained marked by its origin. A free population which refused to be integrated into the plantation system in subordinate position, and the Protestant and Dutch origin of some of its members. The particular society that developed in Terre de Bas, on the edge of Guadeloupe, in symbiosis with its neighbor island, Terre de Haut, while maintaining the model of the plantation society. Then all those elements make that Terre de Bas is a unique place that concentrates a set of different historical facts, diverse from the history of slavery, and all that has facilitated the living together of the whole population of the island. And in this genetic mixed. The owner now want to make Terre de Bas a place of brotherhood for all those reasons. And for this, we want to go to reappropriation. In 2015, the author, born on the island, acquired the old poterie manufacturing. He's a doctor and sociologist, and does this part in the duty of memory. The resilience of his Black and white ancestor. Then he planned its cultural valorization and an opening to the all people, to the public. This place, haunted and inhabited by the ghost of the past, has become a venue for an art and music festival to raise awareness, to harness, to educate are all challenges that this cultural site must take on, whose reappropriation by a direct descendant is in itself a first act of resilience. The descendant of the talented slave, the Senior Citizens Association, the primary school pupil, and the artists keep this place alive. The owner then want to work on architectural, educational, cultural, societal, and generational appropriation. If we go to architectural reappropriation, the owner began with a program of stabilization and consolidation of the building to preserve the existing. A program of restoration of certain areas has been proposed. A thesis on architecture was defending on the rehabilitation of the site in the societal context to revitalize the local economy and anchor the inhabitants in their history with the aim of a new economic development. However, the inscription of the property on the list of the historic monument in 1997 comes up against the French heritage legislation and entails technical, logistical, and financial constraints which slow down the implementation of those projects. I put there some picture of the architectural project, which include, as you can see, the reorganization, the valorization of only the workshop, and the rest of the historical part will stay without modification. That's a view of the project. Another view of the project where you can see that the fishermen will be able to come and to sell their fish, the production there, and to make the site in life, still in life. The educational reappropriation is related to opening to the public from all over Guadeloupe, with some times organization of free boats day where people can come and discover the site and the poterie Fidelin. That's a newspaper image that you can see. Here we have also some picture of visit guided by specialized from history. You have historian people and sometimes presence of monument architectural specialized. And just to show you that people can come, have a specialized to explain to them what was going on the site and how was the life during the poterie activities. The cultural reappropriation, organization of visit with various personalities, particularly from the cultural world, have been organized. The owner has also organized an event around the International Pole Art Fair, positioning the site as a potential place of residence for artists. You have activity related to art and activity related also to music. And here you can see some picture of people who came on the site, and those are personalities that you may know. We have football world champion. We have some politicians. You can see also the owner of the place. At the Fidelin manufactory, the strength of the paint is elevated to artistic expression. This place is at the origin of a fantastic creation of legend. It is there that in 2017, contemporary painters create the work colored, a fresco with 100 hands of color. This work inspired the book of the same name, Colored, which has since been translated into the language of Shakespeare. This is a French book and translated in English. The place has also welcomed and seems to be conducive to writing, according to the words of the writers, Simon Schwarzbart, that you can see in the middle of the picture, and the Concours Prize winner, Patrick Chamoiseau, with the white head. Now, let's move to the societal reappropriation. Different kind of events in program for the local population, that the oldest of whom have been to the site and all have an anecdote to share. You can see on this picture the prefect of Guadeloupe, a politician, and we have been made the community celebration of the population to honor one of the most famous children of the country, a descendant of the slave who walk on the site with the oldest guy, cistern. And manifestation to honor Génard Bourgeois, the uncle of the owner and the former deputy mayor of the commune. There is still a whole history to be known and promoted beyond the festive aspect. The transmission to the young generation is fundamental, starting with those who live on the island of Terre de Bas. As you can see, a lot of research, scientific and sociological work need to be done. Festive events are the top layer, but education, knowledge, and transmission are what will allow the population to embrace its heritage and to root itself in its history. Then to continue, what we should do in the future is to continue the research work, archaeology on the material there. I will conduct those analyses. We need to make popularization of science. The unique history of the slave of Terre de Bas will be done by Elise and Dubo. And the idea is to place the site in its environment and make it known its importance in the economy of the island and beyond. We also are working on a permanent exhibition on the activity on the poterie, the manufacturing, and on the Negros of talent. And we will continue the educational work through archaeological cafe to explain heritage and its preservation, tourist circuit in the South Pasteur, and to reproduce, the owner want to reproduce the same model in his other property in Martinique, Habitation Fort-Rousseau, which date from 1671. Thank you for your attention. And let's move now to the live Q&A session, which include my co-author, Dr. Pierre.
All right, Thank you. Thank you, Katharina. And so, like Katharina said, we are moving into the live Q&A session, which will be with Katharina and with her colleague, Pierre. So welcome, and please, everybody, I see a hand already up. That's exciting. So ask lots of questions.
We hope you will come in Guadeloupe and we'll come to you in Flessing, Terre de Bas.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Nice presentation. My question is, how do you approach when you have a unique kind of archaeological finding or structure that is one of a kind? How do you approach that?
Because we are in the French law and in the French system, everything related to archaeological artifacts are collected, and most of them stay to the Service Régional d'Archéologie. And what we do is, and what the owner want to do, is to show those artifacts to the public, but we have to follow the law, the French law. But the idea is that the material is from the island, is from the people who lived there before, and they are the kind of object that give life to this history, because those ruins are real, but to see the object can try to help us to explain the slave history to the young generation, saying that this, what you see, was made by someone, and this is the result of someone activity, someone who was probably your ancestor, and this is what we start to do. But because it's the French law, the next step will be to make reproduction of those objects, to be able to show them on the site, or to go to school with them, for people to touch them, to feel connected to them. That's what I think will be the next step. And with those copies of artifacts, it will be easier, and we'll be more free to do what we want to do. I hope I answer your question, Jean-Marc.
I have another question to ask, and thank you for the first one. So, for example, if you have a historical site such as a plantation that is privately owned, that they bought it from before it became a historical landmark, and the person and the people who own it plans to exploit it for economical gain, how do you go about to prevent that and for diluting its history?
I think I will rephrase your question, and you will tell me if it's this. You want to talk about this economic system of those kind of historical sites, yes?
Well, the exploitation of it, like it kind of make you forget its history of what it actually was, and it just being used as economical gain.
Yes, okay. Yeah, this is a big issue. We already talked about this many times. The site was a manufacturer of pottery, and yes, the continuity will be. We have different levels. This site is an historical one and need to be shown to people, but in the same time, you need to have to make it in life, then sometimes do activity with to economic activity, but we don't forget the main purpose of the site. And sometimes we organize a pottery manufacture atelier where people come and they can make pottery and learn about how to make pots and what was used for the poamelas and all this. And this is always related to explain the slave history, the sugar plant, the sugarcane industry related to what was done on the site. But more and more, yes, we think that those things related to poterie need to be highlighted on the site, because that was the main activity. But after the poamelas, they made tiles, and they made production of guadan oil, and still people can come and produce. Some people come on the site to take those leaves of guadan to make the production, and this is all those activities. We need to be more persistent on the site, but it's complicated. It's really a small island, and there is not a lot of people, and that's why I start to explain the main issue of the island, that young people leave, the one who stay are older, and they don't want to work on it, and it's really a big challenge, and everything needs to come from outside to make it in life. But yes, we will stay on the main activity of poterie, but not only this.
Benjamin, I have to tell you that this island is a special island. There is no sugarcane on this island, only the factory to have the poterie, but no sugarcane. Sugarcane was only on Guadeloupe island, and that's why it's a very special island with different kind of people from Dominica, from Guadeloupe, and from France, from Dutch people. So it's important to know that in this island, people was together at this century, 18th century. There is no what we call a very hard slavery in this island. It was a very little island, and island was not this island was not connect with Guadeloupe at this time.
There's a question in the chat.
Yeah, from Kevin. Yes, we have planned to, that's almost what I was saying, to do workshop to reproduce and show traditional pottery. And I personally work a lot in St. Lucia related to traditional potters. And I think it's something to highlight. There was before some kind of festival of ceramic in the Caribbean. And this is something we are thinking of on the site. Why not? And to make people doing ceramic from outside to do workshop on the site. But we not just from those kind of ceramic, but like actual artists who can make sculpture and other kind of thing. We want them to come and do residence, to stay on the site for a few times and get inspired by the place to produce things. Yeah, those kind of ideas are in process. Yeah, ceramic festival, Kevin, why not? Let's go for it.
It looks like we have a question. We have a hand up by Catherine Allens. Her hands have been up for a while.
Okay.
Thank you for taking my question. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Catherine.
Yes,
So as one of the geologists who is participating
where you
in
from, Catherine? Please tell me what you're from.
Where am I from?
Yeah.
I am a Jamaican, but I live in Texas.
Okay, you are in Texas now.
I'm a Jamaican of French descent.
Oh,
Oh.
you're my cousin.
Probably. But on to my question. Yes, as a geologist, this setting is really so important, the tectonic setting and the geology, because Terre de Bas is part of what was an ancient stratovolcano. And so I'm wondering if you have thought of how that might have influenced the settlement and the use of the area. And a second part is maybe how you can integrate that into some of the preservation efforts, that understanding of how geology and where a place is situated influences why people live there and how they use it, and all sorts of other aspects that might stem from that.
I don't think that geology has an influence of living of the different people in this part of Guadeloupe. I don't think. Probably you have an idea.
I think that's, first of all, we didn't look, more studies need to be done in this way. The tectonic probably, I think people were resilient, but the place was chosen because of his, the location, because from there you have access to Terre de Bas, Dominica, and Guadeloupe, the island of Guadeloupe. It's really a spot, a practical spot, and I think that's why people choose to put and it was really large. But we probably need to go and to study what you are talking about. But only a few studies were made on the site. And yeah, if you want to help us, why not?
Well, I will talk to my colleagues, and yes, thank you. I was inspired by this.
Thank you for this.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. This brings us to the end of our concurrent session. Thank you for all of the great questions. I see that we have a lot more hands and a lot more questions. So we encourage you to go to our networking menu on the left-hand side of your screen, and there you can ask any questions you have left. If you want to connect with the speakers, you can do so in that forum. And you can just scroll down the list scroll down the list of attendees and presenters and start a conversation. It's very easy. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Pierre. Very exciting conversation. For our attendees, stay tuned for the next session, Clearing Energetic Pathways with Caribbean Dance, which starts at 10:30 a.m. Remember, that's Eastern Time. Remember that to find the next session, you simply need to click on the sessions menu and scroll down the list to find the next session on the schedule. If you have any questions, feel free to click on the chat icon on the lower left side of your screen to ask for help and get guidance about how to navigate our conference platform from one of our conference ushers. So we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All right.